Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another weekly update. This week, lots to show you guys, so let's get started. First of all, as we go right into the portfolio, we have not moved up or not moved down this week, which is actually a good thing because this week the stock market has been tanking just a little bit. Additionally, my TFA has been getting rocked. So if you look at my TFA this week, it is down $2,500. So for those of you who don't know, I actually do not touch my TFSA. This is just something where I'm holding passive funds to give me a monthly dividend. So just by not investing anything, actively managing my account this week, I'm down $2,600. But if you look at my non-registered account, this is where I do my swing trades. This is the account that I use to actively trade every single day. We are actually up almost $800. So what does that tell you? That sometimes it's not good to just put portfolio like this passively and just let it slowly accumulate. Sometimes when we have down weeks like this week, it's very good to actively manage a portfolio and do swings. That way, we're still making money even when the market is going down. So without further ado, let's get started. So this week, I'm going to first show the swings that we did this week. So let me put this up for a second. So there we go. So here is my trading journal log of all the trades that I've done this week. Um, Starting from toast all the way down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We did a total of nine completed swings. Um, and of the nine, eight were wins, one was a break even. So I'll quickly talk about the break even first. This was NU, which is a fintech company that's growing bigger and bigger in Latin America. Warren Buffett was in it. Price went up a lot. So I accumulated when I saw that the price has gone down substantially since the hype has died about Warren Buffett accumulating. But as soon as I saw that the reports came out and there was political instability in several Latin American countries, I told the Patreon group to pull out of that one, which we did. So I alerted the Patreon that way no one in my Patreon was going to lose money. So December 13th, I said it was urgent, sell NU. There's political instability, pull out. Everybody did. I broke even. That was the only, I would say, L of the week. But let's go through the highs. Starting first with crowd share. So this week, crowd share actually hits a bottom of 340. You see this on the weekly chart? So we hit about the 340s, and that's when I alerted the group and we started buying crowd share. So we bought right at the bottom, and as we saw this week starting to hit towards the highs of 370, just below 370, currently where the price is at around now, 368. We got out of crowd strike for total of a 5% gain because my investment wasn't too big. I just made a total of $33, which I'm happy with, but it went from $28.31 because I bought the Canadian version and I sold at just shy of $30. Wayfair, we started this on December 12th, sold on December 13th, from 54 all the way to 56, making $25 and 4%. HAO, this was the one penny stock that I played this week, and that went extremely well. We bought this one at 12 cents and 78, and then we sold at 14.49. I alerted the Patreon to sell that one just in one day, December 12th to December 13th. So from 12 cents 78 to 14 cents 49, that was actually a 12% gain. So even though I only invested like $100 or so in this one, I made a nice fat $22.79, which is doesn't sound like a lot, but given the investment that I put in, it's actually a really good deal because there wasn't much risk just investing $100. Palantir, we were back in Palantir this week. So just like how I said last week, that I wanted to sell Palantir because I feel like at the point of $75, it really was a question about where Palantir was going. We saw a huge pullback right at the beginning of this week. Palantir shot up to 82 before pulling back all the way to 68. And on December 11th, in the middle of this week, I jumped right back in, alerted my Patreon to get in at $72. And then just holding it after 2 days, we sold it for 74 for a good 3% and $22.20. Yang, by far one of my biggest plays this week. We got in at $56 and we sold at 63, which was a nice 11 cents bump, given the investment that I made. I think I made about 63, oh, sorry, $13 on that one, and that was just for 1 day. All right, GXAI. This was a 5 minute swing. I didn't alert my Patreon because it was high risk. I feel heavily responsible that I ensure that whoever's, you know, coming to me for advice on stocks to buy or thoughts on my Patreon to see what kind of stocks to look at and potentially invest in. I didn't want to do high risk ones. So this is one that I didn't alert. It was just for me to play personally. Um, just a 5 minute trade. I got in at 479, and then within 5 minutes, basically the length of a song from the 90s, it went up to $5.35, and I sold at $13.90 using about just an investment of $100. So that was a big win, and I was excited about that. Lastly, and this is another one that I did not alert my Patreon, Avgo. So those of you who were aware, Avgo had their earnings report this week. So essentially, I went into their earnings report playing earnings report. And most of you know this is a big gamble, which is why I didn't alert my Patreon. I never want to, go with a gamble with other people's money are at stake. But I decided to take it because there was this gut feeling, right? This week, I knew that Adobe earnings report was coming out, Avgo, um, and as well as one other one that's can't really remember off the top of my head, but the other two just didn't go really, really well. So going into Thursday, and Avgo was the last of the three to do earnings. It just wasn't a good feeling, but I just had this gut feeling that Avgo being, AI semiconductors, that this was something that I did want to do an investment in. So I will show this one on my Wealthsimple because this is an ongoing trade, all right? So let me move this back to my Wealthsimple. Okay, so I currently still have my Avgo. Um, it is in my margin accounts, and just before earnings, I bought it, and it is up 23%. Right? So this was just a smaller investment because again, earnings reports are always risky. I never recommend anyone going in this, just to gamble, right? Or, potentially lose all your money. But just a gut feeling that I had for this one, and for myself, in terms of where I am at with my circumstances and my portfolio of $180,000, I felt comfortable just investing $350 in Avgo before earnings, and it sure enough paid off. I'm up almost 24%, $82 with a $347 investment. And I only kept this position just to show you guys in this video. Otherwise, I probably would have sold this at the end of Friday, just because the hype is still there. So now I'm probably looking to close this out on Monday when the market starts again. All right. So yeah, those are my swings for this week. Those of you who are interested in joining my Patreon, I will leave a link below. Basically, with my Patreon, as you can see, I'm gonna update you on all the swings that I'm getting into, what price, how many shares, also when I'm going out, sometimes even rationale. And then when I do have, when it comes to time for me to pull out those trades, I'll also alert the Patreon. And lastly, my biggest thing is just again just helping you mitigate risk if we get into some of these swings. And I got new insider information that this is not going to work out, then I'll alert the Patreon and we'll get out without anyone losing money. So if you're interested in Patreon and my services because you just don't have that kind of time, to look at the market, and it's hard to make judgments. Um, Feel free to join my Patreon. It has a 7-day free trial, and then every month it's only $5. All right. Okay, now let's look at some of my long positions. So something that I'm very excited about between last week and this week is my long positions. Because I sold out of some key positions like Palantir, I'm now also in the process of accumulating new positions that's going to pay off. That's the other reason why the portfolio has been up by much, because aside from the stock market being down, I'm also getting out of old positions and buying into new positions. So you don't see me gaining or making a profit on these new investments yet. So the first one I'm going to talk about, as you guys already know, is Amazon. I bought in at 202 in a previous video. Now it's up to 230 before pulling back to 227. So I'm still up 12%. This is something that I'm going to hold for years to come, because I think it's going to be very hard to get back into Amazon at the 200s. And if it ever does, if it's that is just a great buying opportunity, and I'll just be buying more and doubling down. All right, the second one, the one that I'm the most excited about this week, we had a big week for Google. Those of you who are in Google with me, as you guys know, and you can see right here, Google is my biggest position. I invested close to $5,000, and we paid off this week. So looking at the chart for Google this week, we had one big massive move up because of news that some of Google's competitors in self-driving is pulling out, GM. And then we had a second move up where we got news about, the Willow chip. So Google is nearing $200. Those of you who watched my previous videos, I said that my targets for Google back last week when we were still at, in the 170s, my first target was 185, which we hit it and hit it much earlier than I expected. I did not expect this kind of move this quick. The second target was 200, which is where resistance is for Google right now. So we're nearing 200, but it does pull back as soon as we hit 200. And my third target is 225. But to be honest, I think my current stance is for Google is that I'm going to hold it even for longer than that. Something just like Amazon, I'm holding it for years to come, because I think at this point it's gonna be really hard to get back into Google at 170. So if I'm holding, golden nuggets here, there's no reason why I'm gonna sell it just because someone gives me a bit of a profit on taking it off my hands. So these two, Amazon and Google, are my holds for next coming years. Third one is Nike. Nike hasn't done much this week. I got in at about, starting in the 72s, and I bought a little more in the 76 and 77s. So I have an average about 75.91. And this week, just like with the rest of the market, it's been up and it's been down, and currently it's down after Friday. So I'm up just a little bit, but I'm not too worried. I think once eventually when Nike does reverse, this will go into three digits again, and I'll be up a big way. All right. Next one is Visa. Also, Visa, not much happening this week. So, despite the fact you see this volatility in the stock markets, Visa had a big drop on the 10th before really ripping it back up to 314, 315. So, I'm sitting good. And Visa right now up 5%, up $176. And it's just one of those stocks that you can just, put on the side and forget, and it's just churning new money for you. So loving Visa, not much more to say than that. Lastly, I want to introduce my brand new position in Tesla. Those of you guys may have saw from my previous video that I've already profited quite big on Tesla this year when I got into YTSL, which is a ETF. I bought about 30 to $40,000 of it, and at about 215, 220, and then Tesla shot up, and I've been selling of it, but I still have kept a few 50 shares of YTSL, and I'm currently up about 80% on that. So I got rid of the rest of it. So now I'm back into Tesla and I have new price targets. So this week, when Tesla dropped to its all-time low of 380s, I came and I started a new position on Tesla, and Tesla moved past 400 eventually this week. before ripping it up even more after news about their partnership with Nvidia. But it pulled back again into about 418, 420, and that's when I bought again a second position. So currently, with the Canadian version, I'm at an average of $37.11. Tesla is now up to 39.74. So I have a gain of 7%. $110 on an investment of $1,500. And every time Tesla pulls back, I'm going to be buying. And if we go into 2025 and there's a huge dip in Tesla, I'm just going to be loading my truck and putting everything into Tesla just because my price target for Tesla right now is 500 sometime in 2025 and probably 600 by the end of 2025, 2026. So very excited to share you guys um, my Tesla position. I alerted it in my Patreon. So those of you who were following my Patreon, it was able to see when I started accumulating on Tesla this week. All right. Finally, the last portion of this video, it's the long swings. So these are the swings that I'm actually going to do for a longer period of time, probably a month, 2 months, 3 months, probably on average the next quarter, by the time, quarter four earnings come out, uh, somewhere around there. So I'll just going to show you some of the things I'm in for that one. So the first one is Wayfair. And if you saw my videos in the past, I've already talked a lot about Wayfair and I've already invested and did a swing on that, but now I'm back in. So this week, Wayfair surged since I was in it from $48 up to, let's see, the spike here was $56. And now since Thursdays, it's been pulling itself back, or Friday, it's been pulling itself back. And I'm back into Wayfair. Wayfair is currently at 52.29, and I'm in at about 52.75. So I'm loving my position. Only 14 shares. So if Wayfair continues to go down a little more, I'll be buying more just because I am bullish on Wayfair. The next new position I'm in that I'm very excited about is Uber. All right. So, if you guys were following the news this week, it's because of Google and Waymo um, expanding into Miami that Uber is now down. So, although the fundamentals of the company hasn't really weakened, it does mean additional competition for Uber and maybe also potentially a concern of decreasing demands for Uber as a company with the fact that we have all these new companies coming out with self-driving cars and you kind of um, lose that awkward conversation you have with a human driver. But unfortunately, I do like Uber at 59s. I did swing Uber this week. I bought into Uber and I sold it. I just think I just didn't remember to log it in because I did so many trades this week. But now, so I bought Uber earlier this week at 60, sold it at 63. But now on Friday, it's dropping again, and this time to new lows of 59, and I got right back in. So I'm at 60.06 right now, 14 shares with a book value of $840, and I'm loving this new position that I'm in. This will be one of the other crucial swings that will be helping my portfolio go from $180,000 to $190,000 in the coming 2 weeks up to a month. Third one is AMD. I love AMD. I think AMD isn't the leader in AI. That would be NVIDIA, but I see AMD as kind of like the equivalent of Ethereum, right? If NVIDIA is Bitcoin, I say AMD is Ethereum. The two CEOs, Lisa for AMD and also Jensen for NVIDIA. Jensen is just the more flashy, the eccentric one where he can use these words to get investors excited. So, which makes Lisa kind of like an underdog, the one that people forget about. But she's actually doing everything right as a leader. And if you look at their projections and their guidance for AMD, there are some really nice numbers that they're going to hit in the next year or two. And the only reason why it's kind of getting forgotten is because she's just not as flashy as Jensen. So I see this as, not just a value play, but basically a play where if I hold this and accumulate right now below 130s, that it's going to pay off in a big way for me in the next 12 to 14 months. So I did go a bit heavy on AMD this week. I have about 20 shares. for an average of 127.97. Currently, AMD is just trading about a dollar below that, so I'm liking my position in that. But whether I'll buy more, probably not until I see AMD dropping below its current support levels, around the 123, 122 levels. That's the only time I'm going to start buying more AMD. But right now, I feel pretty happy about how much I have so far, and I don't really want to actively add more. Microsoft is the next one. You guys have seen that I've had Microsoft since the beginning of my videos, and just holding on to Microsoft and not doing anything with it since then. We are up 5 to 6% and $177 gain on that. Okay, so oh yeah, I forgot. I did take $1,800 out of Microsoft just because it did hit my previous target. So I wanted to take some profits and reduce my risk. But I like Microsoft. If there was a chance for me to buy, I may increase my position back to 5,000. I think Meg 7 is gonna boom in 2025. But for me, I'm not just gonna invest in all seven. I have my top three in the Meg 7, which is, yes, you can probably guess, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. I'm not going to think about the other three just because they're not something that I feel like I would invest in as a business. So Microsoft, consistent, and I feel like another one where I can just leave on the side and it can just, accumulate for me and grow really, really big in the next year or so. All right, last two positions that I'm going to show you for my long swings. The first one is Best Buy. All right, so I've been looking at Best Buy for the last 2 weeks, just so that Best Buy could pull back to about the 88s, which it finally started doing now. So when I was looking at it, it was in the 90s. Didn't want to touch it at those levels, but this week it's really pulled down back to about the 88s and 87s, which I like. So I accumulated Best Buy this week. I'm at about $1,500 into Best Buy at an average of $88. And I believe as we go into quarter 4 earnings at the beginning of next year, Best Buy will probably shoot up to maybe about 100. And that's probably where I probably am going to sell. So moving from 88 to 100, I think that's pretty good for a safer play. Um, just for holding it for a couple of months. Lastly, Walmart. Walmart is the other one that I'm excited about. Very similar reasons and timelines as Best Buy that I just saw now, but I feel like Walmart is a company that's probably going to move up. Currently, it's at about 94. I only bought the Canadian version just because I want to buy US dollars elsewhere. But once Walmart, if it hits um, about 120, 130, that's probably where I'm going to sell Walmart. All right. So yeah, that's it for this week. Just to recap, I'm really glad that despite that I've dropped 25, $2,600 in my TFSA, I was able to make up a lot of that with the swing trades that I did. So I'm still at $180,000. I'm also accumulating new positions, which is why it didn't grow that much. But you saw my swing trades later. I was able to make hundreds of dollars just by doing active trades throughout the week. And if you're interested in following that, please join the Patreon. Lastly, just want to show this the screen that I'm doing is not fake. I'm when I'm doing these videos, I am looking at my cell phone, and everything that is happening here is happening, on the right of the screen. So it's actually precisely what I'm looking at when I'm doing these videos. So I'm not showing you guys something that's unreal. This is actually my real account. It's live when we do these videos when I'm scrolling up and down. Um, and yeah, loving where I'm at with this account. So my non-registered this week, just to quickly show you before I finish this video, we're all time up for almost $4,000 and up 775 this week. So looking good. Looking forward to the end of the year and as we go further into this Santa run. All right. Don't forget to like, subscribe. See you next week.